So it's been a while since I've made one of these, and even if I put it up, there's a decent chance that I'll pull it right back down because, yeah. Anyway, the point of this one is to try to figure out what works for making avoidant people's lives better. Because the thing is, of course, that avoidant personality disorder, once you've got it, it's personality. It's set in stone, basically, and you really can't change it. So you've just basically got to learn to live with it and manage it better. And so I do recommend therapy. It doesn't work for avoidant people the way it works for lots of other people. Most other people, they take therapy because they want their life to be better and happy and all that lovely stuff, which doesn't really happen for avoidant people. I personally think that the most effective thing about therapy is that you feel like you're not making any progress. You feel like it doesn't matter what you do, it's always the same. It's always going to be the same. Nothing ever changes. And the point of having a therapist is that they can say, hey, look, you were here and now you're here. You have actually done some things. You've made some progress. Things are changing for you. And that can be tremendously helpful because you just don't notice it. And compared to other people, your little changes, which might be huge for you, for them would be like nothing. So they don't recognize it really either. Traditionally, the therapy is CBT, which, it can work great for some people. It really can. But for a lot of avoidant people, it doesn't work, even though that's the only really traditional therapy they have for avoidant people. And the reason is that it's supposed to take your thought processes and point out which ones are wrong. Okay, there's number one. That's a judgment, and avoidant people can't tolerate judgments. But then also to correct ideas that are wrong. Well, the problem is, what happens when those ideas are right? I mean, think about it logically. Mass murderers and child molesters and scumbuckets get to have people in their lives. And I don't. So logically, I must be worse than mass murderers and child molesters and scumbuckets. And I'm none of those things, but I'm ineligible to have people in my life. I'm unlovable. It's not what I do because even if people are a perfect match for me, it just is. The avoidance is. It doesn't matter if I go all in, if I ignore the avoidance and just push through the impulse to push people away. If I stick by them no matter what, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It is. People can't get past it. So, these are decades of actual life experience. This isn't me sitting around thinking about, what would happen if I... This is reality. This is what happens. So, some person coming in and saying, oh no, you should think a different way. You should think like normal people. Well, first of all, normal is extremely overrated. I don't really want to be normal. Normal people are very selfish. They are only thinking about themselves. They're extremely manipulative. They are untrustworthy. They, they're looking out for themselves, and they don't know the meaning of the word devoted. And the second that they aren't getting, a certain percentage of what they need, they cut and run. For me, that percentage is down to 0, and I still stick by somebody. And, they basically have to hang themselves off the moon and be truly abusive for me to cut them out of my life. That is not normal. I think that's better than normal. Okay, there we go. First of all, now I have to watch to be struck by lightning, but, okay. This is the problem that blows my mind and any therapist, because they can't get past it. How can I think that that's better than normal, and yet I'm lower than scumbuckets at the same time? Well, the reality is it doesn't matter if there's 2 or 3 things that I'm actually adequate at or whatever. The things that I'm really bad at, even if they're not really bad, if they're not 100% perfect, completely override and supersede everything that's not perfect. Who cares if I'm devoted? I always disappoint people. That is unacceptable, to disappoint people. I have no right to disappoint people. Therefore, I have no right to be around people. If I'm a decent person, then I will not inflict myself on people. There's the catch-22. It's hell on earth knowing that the cure is right there, but I cannot have it. Even if it was possible, which it's not, because I'm incapable of having people care for me, even if it was possible, I couldn't allow it to happen, because then I would disappoint somebody, and I have no right to do that. It's lovely. Anyway, so that's the type of stuff that CBT brings up. And then there was DBT, which I took and I had such high hopes for, which is, this 2-part theory. One is radical acceptance. You must accept your life and limitations and all the negatives and positives, if there are any. You must accept it all. Accept it all as it is, and not pretend that you're something you're not. Okay, great. I am avoidant. It cannot change. Therefore, radical acceptance in DBT is basically destroying all my hope of ever changing and ever making anything better. Pretty goddamn harsh. And then the second part of DBT is that you change the things that are not working in your life that you can change. Okay, there's another problem. Because I am avoidant, and what I want is people. And I cannot, will not ever have people. There is no way to change that. I know what the problem is. I can't do anything about it. So the second part of DBT, the first part comes and takes away all your hope. The second part basically chops you in the teeth and say, hey, everybody else on the planet gets a chance, but we're going to reiterate for the 90 millionth time, make it absolutely clear as a bell, you do not. That's why DBT doesn't work. beside the fact that you've got to deal with all these people, and then you also have homework that doesn't work. Now, mindfulness, which I learned in DBT, that does work. That did some tremendous stuff because, it makes you stop right then and there. Okay, yes, I'm tremendously lonely, and the idea of another however many decades of this kills me, but I don't have to deal with the decades right now. Right now, it's just right now. Right now is today. Right now is this minute. Right now is what's happening right now. Okay, right now, I can suck it up right now. I don't have to worry about sucking it up for another 40, 50 years, whatever hell I'm going to have to go through. So that worked. That really worked, because that sort of pulled me back into something I can handle a lot better. And I'm not really sure that there's anything I found that works. So, not really optimistic. I'm very sorry. I'm actually kind of posting this because I'm hoping maybe that somebody did have something for them that worked, and maybe they would talk about it, and maybe I could try it. That'd be great. But again, for me, what works is going to a therapist just so that you have somebody to keep track of the changes, because when you're in the muck, and it's black, and there's absolutely no signposts, and you're just all by yourself, just sort of floating around. And I mean, the thing when you're avoidant is that you don't follow the same path that all the normal people follow. You've got to find your own path. So you have no idea what's going on. I mean, it's not a straight line by any means. I mean, you're going up and back and down and spinning around, and you've got to look all over the place for maybe the one thing that might make something better for you individually, and you have no way to know. So it is like floating out in space. You have no way of realizing or recognizing that you're making any changes. So that's what the therapy does, is the therapist will say, hey, you were like this, now you're like this, and it's different. And they, maybe it doesn't seem like it's better, and maybe it seems like you're going backward, but it's different, and that's good, because that means you're still searching for the path. Okay, so there's the one. Therapy for that. And second is learning mindfulness, so that when you're in an absolute panic attack, terrified, you can basically pull it together. That's what mindfulness does. Those two things work, and in my experience, I haven't found anything else that really works. I know that a lot of people who are avoidant do desensitivity training. Like they'll go and hang out around people, and then they'll start to smile at people, and they'll say hello to people and everything else. Well, that doesn't work, because it's stupid and superficial. And okay, yeah, big deal. I can actually, I know for some people it's really bad. Some people have extreme social anxiety, and that's not avoidant personality disorder. But with extreme social anxiety, they can't go grocery shopping because they can't do the transaction with the cashier. Okay, I understand that, and that's different. And that's when desensitivity training might work. I don't have that. I have an inability to have an interpersonal, close relationship with people. I know what it is. I know that I want it. I cannot have it. And you can't desensitize yourself. I suppose you could. You could go on dates, one after the other, and basically be numb. Get to the point where you're totally unfeeling about it, the date. Yeah, that's really going to get you to what you want in the end result, isn't it? That's the opposite of being able to be close to somebody. That's why it doesn't work. Anyway, I don't know. Maybe you've got some ideas. Maybe you did something that worked and made things better. And I would be interested in hearing about it if you did.